Leading in a pandemic isn't necessarily different. If you understand that leading means that you have to inspire others to follow. So that happens whether or not it's in a pandemic or not. And I think, particularly in a pandemic, it's really important to understand the role of inspiring or inspiration for people to be able to do their work, particularly. And so I don't think that it's anything that's different that you do. I think it's the recognition of leadership is not about you. It's about service to others. And it's about inspiring others to see not only their capabilities and the good in themselves, but how they can channel that collectively, in this case with Michigan Nonprofit Association, to be able to do great work for others. So it's really about centering yourself, not on yourself, but serving others through yourself. Collectively, our team at MNA was able to think of things, of solutions, of channeling energy in a way that we coalesced quickly, deeply, and effectively during the pandemic. Not to say that didn't happen outside the pandemic, but there wasn't much time to kind of regroup. The pandemic came upon us March of 2020, and there were all kinds of things that we had to think through very, very quickly. Because our role has always been around advancing the missions of nonprofit organizations and hoping to be able to help them do their work and do it even better, supporting their work and supporting them to do their best work. And so recognizing that in that moment, we didn't know how long the pandemic was going to persist. And we also knew that there was policies that were happening across the country that could adversely impact nonprofits if we didn't advocate for them. So it became, how do we keep nonprofits strong during this time, not knowing how long it was going to last? And one of the things that has always been an issue for nonprofits is capitalization. And so the Paychecks Protection Program, when it's being thought about as an idea, we quickly said we must advocate to make sure that not only are nonprofits top of mind for lawmakers, but also nonprofits are also small businesses and should be included in that. And I would have to say, but prior to our advocacy, not just Michigan Nonprofit Association, but collectively with other state associations across the country, were we able to be successful in making sure that nonprofit organizations were even in the legislations and even in the CARES Act, and even able to partake in something that was so critical to their survival, which was resources. Perhaps I was uniquely positioned to do as a leader in this moment of the pandemic during COVID-19 and the Paychecks Protection Program is that I was actually a former banker. And so the Paychecks Protection Program for me was a no-brainer. It was, wow, this is something that could be critical in terms of the success for nonprofits. But more importantly, I was able to recognize very clearly what the barriers might be for nonprofits to be successful. So what I mean by that is, it wasn't really organic for a nonprofit to think of a relationship with their banker being important. Deposit money there, but knowing a banker and recognizing how that was a critically important asset for actually getting the Paychecks Protection Program, even understanding the application process for that particular interaction or transaction was critical. So the technical assistance in some cases might seem very, very basic, but it was as basic, if you will, as know your banker, go to the bank, recognize what you need to actually fill out an application for that, and recognizing that it was really a double down effort, if you will, for Michigan Nonprofit Association to help nonprofits, particularly with that, especially at the onset of the pandemic. So being a woman of color leader in itself is a privilege, especially because I'm the first woman of color to lead Michigan Nonprofit Association. In fact, the first woman to lead Michigan Nonprofit Association. And so there was always this sense of making sure that I operated with excellence, which is a lot of stress and burden, right? That you carry on you just being a woman in the workforce. Being a woman of color in the workforce is that extra added layer of I've got to succeed because there's so many people who may not have this opportunity and they're looking at me to be their gateway for these opportunities. So you've got that. Then when you layer on to that, a pandemic, if you will, the pandemic was also around, it was a health concern, but it also raised concerns around systemic racism and hatred and other things that we really weren't prepared for. And so for me, particularly the deaths of Breonna Taylor and the death of George Floyd were particularly ones that hit me very, very hard as a leader. So much so that it was not, if not for my network of other leaders that I worked with, did I have the support that I needed to be able to work through my own belief systems, own trauma, own hurt, if you will, deep, deep hurt, to get past those two deaths that were monumental for me to be able to also lead my team in the work. And my team is not predominantly a team of people of color. And so it was this kind of convergence of experiences and discussions that we never had before that we had. And I am pleased to say that those conversations, those honest, courageous conversations that we had, I felt that I was able to do them with my team in a safe space. And because of that trust that we had with each other, I think that it really transferred our ability to be able to offer that same safe space to other leaders of color within the nonprofit sector to support them because we understood it and because I was feeling it in real time. And I also had a team of people that carried along with me and wanted to be able to transfer and share that support with others. Not deliberately, I don't think, but organically be able to demonstrate my vulnerability and the power that you can have in vulnerability. It was when I was vulnerable, and even now I feel quite vulnerable, like sharing my feelings, sharing what was hard for me to do, sharing that I needed help was actually viewed as a positive moment of strength. It was many people when I shared, this is hard stuff. There are many people who said, I'm so glad that you said that because I didn't know I could say that, or I didn't feel comfortable saying that. Now I feel comfortable in really embracing my feelings, recognizing that it doesn't make me weak. In fact, it is a demonstration of strength. And I think, if anything, it's the legacy that I hope that other leaders have learned from me is that there is power and strength in vulnerability. And it almost is essential for you to be a leader that has followers, which is important for getting things done. The partnerships that I am most proud of are the ones that we developed as part of the census work that we did. We have over 300 nonprofit organizations across the state that said, we believe that there is work to be done in having underrepresented populations be a part of democracy. We also believe that nonprofit organizations are trusted in community. What we did as Michigan Nonprofit Association is we took the time to build a model that, weaved all of that together. And as a result, while our Census Collective Michigan probably would love to have done better in terms of the numbers, what we did do better are those who historically had not been part of the process were in the process. And we didn't stop there. We also recognize that the voter engagement work that we've done, and again, we're a nonpartisan organization, so we're really just trying to make certain that people who have not either had access or did not have the education that they needed to understand, processes and systems, that we brought that to them. So I am proud to say some people that we work with through our nonprofits that we partnered with, over 300 again, first time in the census, first time voting. Now they're building maps for the first redistricting process in Michigan. This is huge that we've gotten people into the fold that really are shaping their lives collectively as communities, with nonprofits being the integral piece of pulling that together.